Okay, it's May the 30th. In fact, it's the 31st. It's about 1:45 in the morning. We've just come back from a concert in between Washington and Baltimore where 22,000 people saw one of the most incredible rock bands in the world. In fact, after that concert, I'd say the most. I know you've been told many times, but tonight was an amazing concert. I'm talking to Jimmy Page in the back seat of the Led Zeppelin limo on the way back into New York. That was an incredible concert.
Oh, it's really exhilarating, yeah. Really great, especially after having not been here for so long, over 2 years. You know, it's a very warming feeling, you know, a mass of smiles. It's marvellous.
What I'd like to do is go back quite a way, in fact, back to the Yardbirds. And if you can recall the time that you stepped in and started playing bass guitar, of all things, with that band.
Well, I just started playing bass guitar, more or less ready to help them out, because Paul Samuel Smith had decided to split from the band one night after a gig. And just refused point blank to do any more shows, and I happened to be there just with Jeff Beck, and they were in a bit of a quandary what to do, you know. And I said, well, I'll play bass. I've never played bass before. It seemed a good idea that, you know, twin lead guitars would be something to work towards, and if Chris Trayer could take over on the bass with his own rhythm guitar, it was worth just bridging the gap with me on bass. So that's exactly what we did.
The Yardbirds in their day were, I guess, even looked upon now as something of a legend. They certainly set some amazing standards of music at that time. I guess you're, you know, pretty aware of what you were doing even in those early days.
Oh, yeah. The trouble was it probably got a little too esoteric, you know, the sort of things that were going on. I mean, Record Like Happenings 10 years' time ago was way, way ahead of its time, and people didn't know what the devil we were doing. I mean, as far as the business went, that was, in that music business.
At what stage did you join the band? What was sort of the record that was happening for the band when you...
Well, I joined them just about immediately after Over Under Sideways Down came out.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff left in the middle of a terrible tour. It was like 33 days of doubles, and when I mean doubles, I mean two cities per night, you know. No. This was something else over here. I mean, as you came off stage after the first half, we closed the first half. We had to drive to the next venue, and it was awful. We were all in a Greyhound bus, and people sleeping in the luggage racks. Terrible.
Makes you appreciate living there.
That's why he ran away. We decided to stick it out. But when we came to Australia, there was just the four of us.
Yeah, I was going to say Australia's first glimpse of yourself as a guitarist with the band was with the Yardbirds, and that tour where I think it was Roy Orbison, the Yardbirds, and the Walker Brothers. What are your memories of that tour?
I seem to remember it being really, really good for us, for the Yardbirds. But there was a hell of a lot of politics between the Walker Brothers and our band, because they were supposed to be, you know, I think they thought they were going to sort of take the thing by storm.
When you look back, it was quite a mixture of music, even for that time.
Yeah.
I think that was
all those old fantastic great package shows are now gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, right.
It was great to be able to see so many people at one go.
When the band split, when the Yardbirds finally had to call it a day, was it a fairly traumatic experience for you, or did you see it coming up? Or?
Well, I was upset that, you know, Jeff was gone, but it was just, you know, wouldn't, you know, work with him anymore. That's all there was to it.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of bitterness after this tour, which had been a bit of a... Well, I mean, it had been a real struggle, actually, to even get through to the end. I remember I was on a bottle of Scotch a day. and it was a bitter memory, really, to think that Jeff could just walk out. They just wanted to split, and that was that.
The initial season...
They wanted to get out of, you know, just... Keith Roth just didn't want to hear the name Yardbirds anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, his quote of the whole thing was that the magic was finished for the band when Eric left the band, Clapton, so... Well, I guess if that was true, I mean, he'd soldiered on quite bravely for a long time, really.
Yeah, because Clapton left the band after...
Yeah, there was no bad feeling. It was just one of those things where... Well, it was upsetting. I was upset, but it's just one of those things that, you know, they felt had to be.
first bit the dust, did you sort of start looking around for the members of
About
Led
6
Zeppelin?
weeks or something, because I really wanted to play. I mean, I could see the reaction that we've been getting, and I just really wanted to come. No, it's in America, you see. I just really wanted to get a band together and see if it could happen.
How did you go about getting what is now Led Zeppelin?
Well, I contacted Terry Reid to begin with. He's a singer that was really brilliant at the time. And curiously enough, he just signed with Mickey Most, who I was just going away from. But he recommended Robert. John Paul Jones he and I had done many sessions in the past when I was doing studio work. And there were a few drummers in line, and we went to see Bonzo, who I'd heard of anyway because he'd been playing with Tim Rose. And curiously enough, he'd been playing with Robert many years before in a band. I just said, yeah, this is it, we've got it. We just got to get together and rehearse. And the first rehearsal was just, magic, just everybody knew that it was right.
The first session was, as you described, pretty magical. How long after that did that first album start to take shape, get into the studio and get it together?
Well, once we started rehearsing the material that I had already, for instance, built up through the Yardbirds structures and things like that hadn't gone down on record, things of my own, plus things that we decided to do from records and this, that and the other. Wasn't that long at all, actually. A month, maybe. Then we went in the studio. During that month, we'd already done a sort of 8-day tour of Scandinavia. And we started to do dates in England, and at the same point, we were starting to record. But during the Scandinavian tour, we were running through the material that we were planning to record, because it was a repertoire after all,
That album, there's a couple of songs which we'd like to cover if we could. And the first one that I can remember even seeing came out on an Atlantic single, which was Good Times, Bad Times.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was one that just really came out of jamming, really.
That had such an incredibly heavy sound for that day. Heavy is probably the wrong word, but it was such a solid, powerful sound. I think at that time, you just blasted straight onto the scene with it.
Yeah.
There was Communication Breakdown as well. I think that was the other song that the album was given a lot of it.
Well, I had a riff for that one prior, worked out prior to the rehearsals and things. The way that I sort of saw it, with the sort of light and shade and everything, and the drama of it probably captures on that LP the essence really of what we were about, that and light and shade, and then the hard rock of Communication Breakdown and things like that.
Went too long in coming together, or was it once again just a dash into the studio and an album that was fairly quickly done?
That was recorded during our second tour. Some of it had been started in England before we came over here.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it was completed while on the road, Canada and all over the shop. We just got in where we could.
The first sort of Led Zeppelin classics more or less came off that album, and the one I'm referring to, A Whole Lot of Love, obviously, is the one that you still include in the act today.
Well, we've only started doing that for 2 days.
Yeah.
I think, we dropped that on the last 2 tours. We just did it for a laugh, really. But yeah, sure, I think those people, a lot of people started picking up on us during that second period that hadn't sort of heard the first one,
Yeah.
And then they came, obviously, if they picked up at that point, as well as anything else that's about Harvey's Group, and they've got the first album, It's only you find people that picked up during the third album and the fourth album. Usually find that's their favourite album too. It's just been played over here since the time that it came out. It's amazing, I'd come over here without anybody knowing, to do, say, some mixing or whatever, overdubbing, turn on the radio and you'd hear it, it's amazing. And that's been, God, what, 4 years or something, I don't know.
I noticed that even in the audience tonight there was a guy behind us who kept on yelling out for Heartbreaker.
Yeah. Well, we do Black Dog, Heartbreaker, Trampoline. It's difficult because the hardest thing of all is working out your program, what you're going to play. You know, when it's running into 3 hours already, how can you do more? It's difficult.
8 hours is a lot to choose from, right?
Yeah, you got it. Electronically, I should think the middle section of that is what really works all right. We had so many problems with engineers. By problems, I mean sort of engineers disappearing off the face of the earth and then reappearing. See, the whole idea is if you work with one engineer in one studio and you get used to the sound of that particular room and you do your LP there, it's obviously the ideal conditions. But we were moving around all over the place, and we always seem to be doing this on our LPs. It's not a good thing to do. It's best to just work in the one place. It's done with, it's sort of phasing, plus the tape, you know, you can slow a machine up and speed it up as well. And it was just like doing that at ultra-fast speed so that the whole thing was just sort of fluttering and everything. It was basically phasing and reverse phasing.